We will now have a look at fossil fuels in Cape Town. Fossil fuels are one of the most important resource flows because of their impact on climate change and air quality. Remember that we look at the entire life cycle of resource flows within the urban system. So we have to get a complete understanding of the fossil fuel industry in Cape Town. In order to do this, I spoke with many different experts who helped construct the entire picture. So let's have a look. This circle represents Cape Town. At the core of the fossil fuel industry are the oil companies. They sell petrol, diesel and other fuels through gas stations and distribution networks. So the first question is, where do they get their products from? Well, there are two main sources. First of all, it turns out that there is an oil refinery within the borders of Cape Town. This refinery processes crude oil into the different fuels that are being sold. At the same time, oil tankers dock at the city of Cape Town and they bring two different products in. Some of them bring in crude oil to the refinery, while others deliver already refined fuels to the oil companies. However, the largest source for crude oil is a pipeline that connects the refinery with another port outside of Cape Town. So these are the ways in which fossil fuels enter the Cape Townian market. However, it turns out that not all fuels stay in Cape Town. Some of the fuels are used in other cities and towns in the region. So these are exports out of Cape Town. Now, let's have a look at consumption inside Cape Town. We can identify several industries that consume fossil fuels. First of all, there is a diesel-powered electricity plant within the city boundaries. Cape Town's industry also uses fossil fuels as well as the residential areas where people use mostly paraffin for heating. Finally, we have the transport sector. Not only does the road network consume fossil fuels, but there is also an airport and a port within Cape Townian boundaries. However, these are colored differently because they represent exports of fossil fuel. Ships and airplanes that fill up will leave the area right away. So let's focus for now on the actual consumption of fuel within the city. Those different industries that burn fossil fuels do so through combustion. But remember, we are doing a mass balancing exercise. So when there is combustion, fossil fuels are not the only input. Another input is oxygen. So in order to make this system balance, we need to account for that as well. Finally, we look at the final output to nature. Once combustion has taken place, fossil fuels and oxygen will turn into various gases, including carbon dioxide, particulate matter, and others. Now, here we have a simplified overview of Cape Town's fossil fuel metabolism. After I understood this structure, I could look into getting the actual data. First, I got data on fuel imports into the city. Through freight statistics, I knew how much left the city. The electricity company provided data on the diesel consumption of the power plant. By using different energy reports from the city, I could estimate the division between different sectors, and by looking at different types of fuel, I could figure out how much fuel left the city in planes and ships. Once these different quantities and uses were in place, I used emission factors to calculate the quantities for each of the gases. So, this provides the fossil fuel cycle for Cape Town. Not all of the data was reliable, but because I set up a mass balance, I could validate the numbers and understand what does and what does not make sense. What is most important is documenting the different sources and their data quality, which makes it easier for others to understand your data and limitations and to continue improving over time.